Sometimes when we create an applique, we either want to make more than one copy of it, or the shapes in the applique are very intricate, and cutting out the applique fabric in the hoop is quite tricky. And so there are options to actually pre-cut your fabric and place them in the right positions in the hoop before you do your cover stitches and your tack down stitches and your cover stitches. There are lots of ways you can pre-cut your fabric. You can print out the applique patterns from the if you go to print preview, you can print out a worksheet with applique patterns. Let me just go to the next page. So that's where my applique patterns are, and in fact there are actually oh, they've got them all on one page now. Sometimes they'll put them on more than one page, but in this case it's all on one page, so that's good. I'll just close out of that. So you can print those and lay them on your fabric and cut your fabric out, and lay it in your hoop before you actually stitch. I'll close that. The other way you can do it is you can create cut lines from the design, and in a separate hooping, hoop up layers of the fabric. I usually back my fabric with my chosen stabilizer first, and then layer up the fabric, and then you can cut out through several layers at a time. I've done up to 5 quite happily with the cut work tool, and then you can cut out 5 of each piece, or at once, so to speak. The other option is to use one of the cutting machines, such as the Scan and Cut by Brother, or the Sillohette, one of those types of machines. I don't have one, but I believe they need an SVG file for that. So in this video I'm going to show you how to get your SVG file if you have one of those cutting machines. I'll show you other ways of getting the applique pieces, like doing the cut, using the cut work tool, getting a cut work tool line in another video. This only works for version 8 because we need Windows 10, which version 7 isn't supported on, and we also need the Corel level that comes with version 8, so that's up one level from the version 7 Corel. Okay, so if you've got those, then you can follow on now to get an SVG file. So as I said before, the only outline of the applique pieces we get is in the print worksheet. So if I go to print preview again and go to the next page, here we've got nice clean outlines of the actual applique pieces. Now in this applique I merged several areas together so that I only had one big piece of this colour here to lay down. If I go back to the design, close, there is a satin stitch running through here, but the fabric itself actually runs all the way through and up into here as one piece, and also this back leg here. The front leg had to be separate because it is divided from the rest of the beige colour by this black piece. So I've got 3 black pieces and I've got 2 beige pieces in this applique. So using the advanced applique tool, it creates lots of areas, and then for the actual stitching, because you need to have a placement line, you need to have a tack down line, and so forth. So it's very hard. I did actually separate out just the placement lines into a separate design, which I'll show you here. But because I had to break apart the applique to change the stitch order, etc., the placement lines are, and because it was advanced applique where I was using lots of different lines to create the areas where the applique is, the parts of the applique are actually not attached to each other. So there I've got the ear, but I need to get the other part here, that belongs to that. Whoops, that's not it, or it's attached somehow. I'll undo that. So I'll try and move that again. There we go. So this piece here is part of it, and then there should be two pieces there that are part of it. Okay, and you would have to put it back together, and so converting this to a solid outline is quite tricky. So as I said, if we can convert this, the applique patterns, which are a complete outline in this software in the worksheet, that's even better. Now, how we do this is that Microsoft in Windows 10 have provided us with a print to PDF option in our printing options. You can't access it if you are in the worksheet, because if you click print now in the worksheet, it will just print this as is straight to your printer with you don't get to set any options in your printer. You only get to set the options of what you are actually printing here in this dialog. I'll cancel out of that. So we need to close that, and we need to go to File, Print in the actual menu here. Then you'll get your printer dialog open, and in the drop down menu here for the name of the printer, you should find an option for the Microsoft Print to PDF. If you select that, and then you can decide, I only want to print the applique pieces, so I'm just going to put page 3 in there, because I only want that page, but I want it as a PDF. It's the only way I can actually get a usable vector graphic out of the software. So then it's just a matter of going OK. It will open up a dialog of where you want to save it to, so I have already done it, so I'm not going to do it again, but navigate to where you want to save the design, give your design a name. There are no other options here other than PDF, so you don't have to worry, it's going to print it to PDF, and click on Save, and it will save it. So as I said, I've already done it, so I'm not going to do it again. Okay, so I'm going to close that now. Could not start print job, that's okay, because I've already saved it. Okay, but you would go save, and then it would start the print job. Okay, so now we need a new document to work on our PDF. So just create a new document, a new design, and we can close the old design because the less we have open, the less texting it is on our software, and go through to Art Canvas. Now you could also open Corel as a separate close your software down and open the Corel Draw as a separate program if you like, but that's not necessary. Okay, so in Art Canvas we can bring our PDF in here in version 8, and we don't want to just load it because if it's more than one page long, then all the pages will load on top of each other in the one screen, and so all your objects will be on top of each other, and we want them separated into pages. So to do that we need to import. Now when I saved my PDF originally, I saved all 3 pages, and so when I open my PDF it will open up as 3 separate pages, and I'm glad I did that, because if I'd have just saved the one page, yes, it would be easier because only one page would load, but as I said, sometimes the applique pieces are on more than one page, so now I can show you what to do if you've got more than one page, or if indeed you forget to select the pages and you've saved all the pages. So we're going to go File, Import, and this is also useful if you want to bring a PDF pattern into your software. You can load it like this and then use the pattern pieces as outlines. So that's just something to bear in mind, and I'll go into that in another video too, but there's more than one use for this application, being able to load PDFs into Art Canvas. So as I said, go File, Import, and then search for where your you have saved your PDF and there's mine there, and as I said, it's all 3 pages. So I'm going to import, it's asking me if I want to import the text as text, and I'm going to leave that like that to show you what happens. The font that they used in the Bernina software is some obscure font. I don't know what it is, but it's not recognised by Corel. So the font will come out as text, but it'll be gobbledygook. If you actually want the shapes of the letters, you'll have to choose curves, but then it will not behave like lettering. So that's entirely up to you what you set there. Here again, you've got an opportunity to select which pages that you're going to bring in. So if you only want page 3, you can just select page 3 there, and that's what I would do at this point in time. But just in case, as I said, you've got patterns on more than one page, I'm going to show you how to manage the pages by opening them all. So I'm going to go OK. And then, of course, this is the dialog that comes up that says the fonts used in the PDF are not recognised, and they've tried to replace it with the most suitable font. I tried fiddling around with substituting different fonts here, but didn't have any luck because I don't know what font it is. So I'm just going to go OK, and it will load that. And you will get your little indicator here. You need to press enter to load the PDF at the actual size. If you left click and drag a rectangle to load the PDF, it will come out at the wrong size. It needs to be actual size. So just hit enter when you see that little icon, that little right angle icon. And if we look over in our object manager, now if you haven't got your object manager there, it may be in your Dockers down here, in which case you can open it from there, or you can click on the little plus down the bottom here of your Dockers, and you can choose it from here. You need the object manager. Just put a check mark in there and then click off, and it will open up. So here you can see that we've got page 1, page 2, page 3. And of course always the master page is there. So each of those pages are separate, and they all have their own layers within, and each one only has one layer. And we can see here that we've got in page 3 we've got a group of 27 objects. If I click on page 2 and open up the layer with the plus, we can see there's 250 objects there, and same here in layer in page 1 there's a group of 403 objects. Now in this case you can hide the pages and all sorts of things, but we only want page 3. Remember that had the patterns on it. Now if you wanted page 2 and 3, then you would only delete page 1. So to delete pages you don't want, you just right click on any one of the pages and you'll have an option to delete a page. So I'm going to click on that, and it's asking you which page you want to delete, and I want to delete page 1, and I'm going to put a check mark here through to page 2. So that just leaves me page 3, which had the patterns on it. So I'll go OK. Now, of course, if you only saved page 3, then you won't need to go through that process. But that's just so that you know in future if you're using this for another purpose. And here you can see where this text has just come out with totally the wrong letters for the... It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So, but we don't need any of that. So now on this page we're going to delete everything we don't need, and you can't actually see them here, but there were actually numbers inside these little applique pieces, and they'll be objects as well. So we need to expand this group of 27 objects, and the first thing we need to do is to ungroup them. So we'll right click on the words that say group of 27 objects and ungroup all objects. So now everything's separate, and you can see there's little boxes here in the middle, and that's where those numbers were. There's quite a few different things that are not required for what we want to do. So we'll click off so nothing's selected, and we'll try and find these curves. So if we click on that one, we can see over here in our object manager that it is a curve, and so that's all we want. We don't want any of this artistic text, so we want to keep that one. let's do it the other way around though, so that we can delete things. So let's click on the top curve here, and that appears to be something down here, so we don't want that. I'm going to keep clicking through. They will logically be in groups of things that belong together. So all of those curves, none of them are the curves we want, and the rest is all artistic text. This curve here is a number inside one of these outer curves, so we don't want that. But that's the actual outer curve, so we do want that. So we can delete everything above that. So I'm going to click on the top one, hold my shift key down and click on the bottom one of the ones we don't want. Right click and delete. So that's all of that gone. We've still got some funny things going on here. We've got some artistic text and a curve. If I click on that curve, we have got that. These are the numbers in between. So the curves with the actual wiggly line are the ones we want to keep. The ones where the curve doesn't have a wiggly line, we don't need that, and we don't need the artistic text. So we can select that, the first object we don't need, and if we hold our control key down, we can go ahead and click on everything else we don't need. So all of the artistic texts and all of those curve words that don't have a wiggly line next to them. And then when they're all selected, we can right click and delete all of those. So now we only have the pattern pieces left. And you can rearrange these around the page now. So I can select this one, for instance, and I can move it. Now I know that this one was a black object, the black ear. And this part here down the bottom was the rump, so that's black as well. So I'm going to move that up with the black. And this object here was black as well. That was on the tummy. The main body was beige, and the front leg is this piece here, and that was beige as well. So I'm going to move that down there. And those of you with cutting machines, you'll know how much space you need to leave around the pieces for cutting. So you can rearrange these as you like, but you know, you can stick a black piece of fabric up here, and you can stick a beige piece of fabric down here, and you can cut them all at once if you've got the file going. So now all we need to do is export it as an SVG. So all we do is go up to File, Export. Sorry, it's only selected one. I'm just going to cancel that. We want the whole lot. So we either click off so nothing's selected, and I'll try that again. File, Export. And it should export all. Otherwise you have to select everything, but I think it'll do it without selecting the whole lot. And again, decide where you wanted to go. So I was in there, and I was in my website folder, and I was in membership drafts. And I don't want a PDF anymore now. I want a drop down menu, and I want to go to SVG. These are in alphabetical order down here. So there's the scalable vector graphics. Select that one, and you can see here that I already did it. So but you can give yours a name and click on export, and you will get an SVG file which you can then load into your cutting machine. Now, as I said, if it doesn't bring up the actual objects, then before you do this, just select all the objects. And that's basically all there is to it. Now, as you can see, we've got nice clean outlines even as the PDF, which can then be converted to outlines in your embroidery software, and then they could be converted to cut lines. So there's just a quick hint about using the Cutwork tool for the future video. I hope that's been helpful, and please comment below if you didn't understand anything. I'll try and address any issues. And if you'd like to see more like this, either join my free membership plan on my website, which I'll have a link to below, or subscribe to the YouTube video. If you join the membership club, there'll be more on offer than just videos though. And please like the video if you liked it. It all helps me to get more views. Thank you very much.